Deputy Communications Minister Mondli Gungubele has pushed back against his counterpart, or his boss, Solly Malatsi's plan to relax local ownership rules in South Africa's telecoms sector. Gungubele warns the move could increase reliance on foreign suppliers and stifle local innovation. The policy shift could also pave the way for Elon Musk's SpaceX to enter the country's satellite internet market, as well as Starlink. The Deputy Minister does join us now to discuss this a little bit further. Deputy Minister, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it this morning. Openly opposing the Minister's directive to ease ownership rules, particularly for Starlink. Let's talk about the core principles here. Is the defiance really just purely based on the efforts to try and address what has been a systemic issue that the country has faced since 1994, or is there more at play?
Thank you very much, Arabile. Is that Arabile, am I right?
Correct, Baba, correct.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity. Maybe let me start by saying, just as a technical issue, in our view, in my view, the minister's call for realignment of policy directives, using policy directives for realignment, so that equity equivalent can come in. It is infusing of a measure which will actually require change in law. Because the law as it exists now, it speaks about not less than 30% equity ownership held by historically disadvantaged. It says not less. That is a very critical word. And it says other conditions and a higher percentage. So an attempt to do anything outside that would require legal change in our view. But that is a form. But if you come to the substance in your own words, these directives, Arabile, to me is an affront to the aspirations and dreams of this country towards its sovereignty and also including its security. Because this technology, as it is now, is a key lever through which countries compete. As a developing country, multinationals, as they come here, we are expected to make sure that the benefit is that when they leave, we are self-dependent. We are able to craft our technological path by making sure that we have access to their systems design. Sure. That even when they have left, we're able to maintain, adapt, and replicate their systems. Yeah. But when it comes to issues of ownership, for our local firms to gain experience, capital, and market access, joint ventures with our companies are critical. Equity participation by local firms and public is critical. Support for Black-owned and SME technology is critical. I'm saying this because we are not the first country. You go to India, Brazil, Estonia, all those countries in their developmental stage, this is the kind of relationship they had with multinationals. Yeah,
Deputy Minister, so that means that your concern then is around precedents, right? And the precedent this might set and what it means for other foreign companies, not necessarily with Starlink. It's not with Elon Musk. It's not with the United States precisely. It's with our own directives and how we can benefit from this in future.
Correct. That's why we do not want to speak about Starlinks. We want to speak about a fundamental principles that ensures that our relationship with the multinationals, post their divestiture, we are able to craft our path independent of them.
Very important. All right. So this would, in many ways, undermine our transformation agenda if we were to let this be, correct?
It's correct. You see, the problem, Arabile, is that people always come to this view that we're fighting for blacks. It's correct. Our constitution requires transformation. Over and above that, even if we're not talking in terms of historical disadvantage, this relationship with the state of development of our country, if it is not corrected to ensure that it gives us our self-dependence post the divestiture of these multinational companies, it actually leads the country to another direction, a direction of long-term cost, a direction of inability to bargain, a direction of inability to form our own IP so that we can actually take our life to another level, making sure that our engineers are trained, not just given access. In other words, we stop interacting with the black box system. What do I mean by black box system? When they come and we buy their systems here, both for management and at the same time licenses, if they use their system, and then when they are black box, it means we've got no access to the inherent underlying technologies that makes those systems tick, so that our engineers can actually develop and work independently. And another key point, Arabil, is that South Africa has lost many academics in this sector, whether they are doctors in ICT, masters, because we have to do a lot of work in as far as R&D is concerned. Because if they pass and stay here, if you know the Rabbi term that says use it or lose it, if they pass here and they have got no environment to apply their skills to take them to our level, they lose those skills.
Yeah.
And now thousands of our guys are out of the country as a result of that. And we're fighting to make sure that when they pass at UJ at VETS, they have got a place to sharpen their skills and take their country to that dream of self-dependence.
So, Deputy Minister, were you able to raise all of these face-to-face with the Minister and detail your concerns, the issues you feel, and what is that relationship like?
Let me start by saying, from my observation, we do not have a tension or a negative relationship with the Minister. But the problem I have is that fundamental issues like this, he actually drives them through memos. In other words, we never had a discussion to engage with the Minister in the manner I'm engaging with you now. In other words, we respond to memos. I had to make my comments in as far as the legality of this intervention is concerned through a memo. I've never had a discussion with the Minister where we broadly go deep and share ideas and articulate what do I mean when I say this intervention is an affront to the dreams and aspirations of the sovereignty of this country.
Is that the normal way of working within the department? I mean, because one would think that you'd have collaborative efforts, you'd have better conversations in order when any directive, any policy, any statement comes through from the department, that at the very least it's gone through all that are involved in senior leadership, at the very least within the department. Does this mean that there is some sort of disjointedness with regards to collaboration in the department?
I didn't send a message, Arabile, that the department is disjointed. There's a number of areas where we work together, but my concern is that on strategic issues like these, we tend not to have elaborate sessions where we discuss. And I'm saying my positive view is that these are lessons to me of actually helping the GNU to work better. Because if we do not improve this, it undermines the very significance of why we need the GNU so that we run a stable country. So I'm saying the challenge is there, and I've got no doubt we must be able to sit with the Minister and resolve this. I repeat, we've never had elaborate discussions on this. Am I saying it's impossible? I don't think so. Yeah. But at this point in time, one had to speak out about the dangers of this intervention.
So do you expect a conversation to be had? Have you been called to perhaps engage on this a little bit further with the Minister so that a more coherent message is formed?
No, before this directive was out, I had a telephonic conversation with the Minister and expressed my views and expressed my non-alignment with this. He knows that. So when the announcement was going out, he already knew that I was not going to be to align with it. And actually, it derives from my comments in the memo that was circulating in the department.
All right. So what does this mean moving forward for this directive? Does this mean that despite everything, it will continue to move forward despite your protestations? Or is there now a broader discussion pool that now needs to happen before anything is set in stone?
Well, Arabile, it depends how the Minister is going to view the opposition that has been expressed public and otherwise. If he thinks that these oppositions are hot air, are neither here nor there, the Minister may take a risk, in my view, of going ahead. But I must say upfront, this is the area where, especially those of us who have actually been in the trenches fighting for the liberation of this country towards its sovereignty. It's an area where what to call the war will continue. We will have to reach a point where we do not allow our country to be actually to be allowed to go astray from the revolutionary path, which was historically crafted by our forebears.
Yeah, apologies there as well. What is the risk here of going ahead? Because one wonders whether there is this mixed messaging that goes out to the rest of the world, which then deters investment in the country, which means that the very same thing we're trying to achieve, which is ultimate prosperity and growth for our economy, then still doesn't happen nonetheless, and no jobs are then created. So what's the major risk here of going ahead nonetheless?
Well, I would not prophesize. All I can say, multinationals are aware that there's a number of companies which are already aligning with 30%. So there are companies that have not made a big deal about this. But I think, in my view, I suspect that we are confronted, in my view, with the, what do we call it, DA's policy of hands-off leadership. Hands-off leadership meaning that let things go. In our country, this is a developing country. Majority of South Africans need to be assisted so that we ensure that what do you call it in English? People start on equitable platforms, because majority of South Africans have been discriminated, spatially, human capital basis, access to education, and a number of things. That's why our constitution is crafted in a particular way to correct that. At times, we've got a sense that DA is not interested in correcting that.
Deputy Minister, one thing that we've had, particularly of late this year, is the question mark around black economic empowerment, how it's worked, its successes, its failures overall. It's come under a lot of intrusive investigation, actually. What are your thoughts on where it currently sits, how we've worked it 30 years into democracy, and whether it's actually been effective as a tool in addressing the ails of the past?
You know, maybe I don't know how to put this Arabic. Let me say this. Black economic empowerment is undisputable, constitutional and otherwise. No one can question its historic need because of our history, 1. 2, that it has delivered a number of blacks, that also cannot be disputed. But I think, having observed the north of things, seeing even the Madlanga commissions now, I think corruption, scandals, and a number of things, mismanagement, have made a noble policy to look like anathema in our country. And we are here to make sure that we separate the correctness of this intervention from corruption. In other words, we must deal with all the negatives that has been allowed in the system to actually put a dent on such a noble initiative.
Very important conversation to have happened this year, still continuing to happen. I think overall this directive will stay in keen focus as well. Deputy Minister of Communications Mondli Gungubele, appreciate your time this morning.